The government should not be in the business of doing business because they're not good at it.
So, oh no, I didn't expect you to go this way. Like I did, but not so directly, right? So it's like, wait a minute. We know better than you what to do with your money
Right.
to help everybody.
Right. And if
That's what we're saying.
And what we're saying is if we don't get it right, we will just get more from you.
If you ran a business like that,
Right?
it would never work.
It would be horrendous. This is why what the government has tried to do, whether it's been historically, whether it's been with rents, whether it's been with housing prices, whether it's been with the cost to build or construction or whatever, none of it's worked.
And the more regulation there is, the more taxation there is, the more corruption there's going to be.
Potentially, for sure.
Potentially,
and I think,
because it complicates everything.
Right.
So how do you get past it
Right.
without sort of like a favor or something? I'm not saying like break laws. I'm saying like people are going to be treated differently. It's not equal opportunity anymore.
Right.
Is what I'm getting at.
Yeah. So there it is.
All right. Global News is reporting we're going to talk about short-term rentals.
Okay.
So we know in BC, short-term rentals or Airbnb, whatever you know it as, is essential. It's not banned, but it's highly restricted with rules and not just regulations, but extremely high fines if you're operating illegally and the registration that you have to have now so they can keep track of you.
Yeah.
So Canada, as Global News is saying, Canada has more than 100,000 short-term rentals that could be housing. So this report, CMHC released statistics, Global News is reporting on it, that these properties could potentially be identified as long-term living home. What do they call it? LPN something. Potential long-term dwellings.
Okay.
So it's like, okay, there might be 100,000 available units. The thing is, it's like, we're not running out of homes. There's I don't know how many, 180,000 listings across Canada or whatever the number is. There are thousands of homes available to purchase if you got your finances all figured out.
Yeah.
So,
and I should add, if we're talking about these potential homes or condos, whatever they are, that are short-term rentals going on the market, someone's still going to have to purchase the home. Right?
Well, there's two options.
Well,
Go ahead.
I was going to say, and part two is if they're going to say, well, no, you can turn that into a long-term rental. It's not a sale. Well, the numbers still have to make sense for this person to afford this rental property with the rate that you get for a long-term rental versus short-term rental.
You would think that adding 100,000 supply, let's say everybody converted to a long-term rental. Okay, so if this is 100,000 units converting from short-term use, from a commercial use to a residential use, this would trigger a GST on the value at the time.
Okay.
So if you had $500,000, even if you lost value on your place, you had a $500,000 condo, you were using it for short-term rentals here in the Janyan building or whichever one here in Victoria where you were allowed, and then you got robbed of your property rights from our BC EB government. Did I say that? So, if you convert that to long-term, just like you said, the numbers still have to work. Does it make sense as a long-term? And it still hasn't really reduced the rental prices.
Yeah.
So if you can't afford it, that person's not going to be moving here. Now, if it was listed for sale, we're still not changing this by much because that person still needs to have an income, credit, and down payment. And if none of those things are all lined up, then it doesn't matter if these places are put on the market.
Sure.
And short-term rentals are not really conducive to long-term living anyways.
Yeah. I know somebody who, they have something that they use, have used in the past to do short-term rentals out of. No kitchen.
Just a hot plate and a bedpan?
No, not even, well, Nice. It was the way it's set up. It's very nice.
Okay.
But it's not set up to be lived in for more than 4 or 5 days, maybe a week at a time.
It's like a kitchenette.
Yeah.
Like in a hotel room
Yeah,
or something.
yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Because it's a vacation rental.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you would never go into that home and be like, okay, I'm going to live here long term.
I think that's like the missing point of it. Like, you have a single room, it's got your kitchen, living room, and it's got a Murphy bed in there. And the bathroom's actually separate.
Yeah.
But like, there's no room to like lay down your yoga mat and do some like.
Yeah.
It's really cramped living, and in North America, we're just not used to this small confined spaces. I'm not saying that humans can't do it.
Sure.
It's just nobody wants to.
Well,
right?
and I just think that in that case, that property was never designed to be a long-term rental. It was designed and built specifically for that purpose.
Right. It's a micro size, 300 square feet, 350 square feet. Yes, there are bigger places,
Yeah.
but like most of the time it doesn't come with parking.
Yeah.
Most of the time it doesn't come with storage.
Right.
Right. But the locations are really nice.
Yeah.
It's walkable, maybe if you had an e-bike or something.
Yeah.
Or whatever the case may be. But this just goes further to prove that where we started off at the beginning is like the government shouldn't be in the housing business.
100%.
Because like all of their policies are just total and utter failure.
Yeah, and I've said this before, I'll say it again. If you want to help the prices in the housing, make it easier for builders and developers to build and develop, reduce taxes on goods that are being used, whether it's the wood or whatever it might be, and take out some of the bureaucracy in the process of getting approvals. I know somebody who's still trying to get approvals on something in Victoria that they just to get permits to do renovations that are all within the zoning and the bylaws, and they've been on it now for, I think they're 2 years in.
2 years in, they don't have any approval.
Right.
They're zoned for what they want to do.
Yeah.
All right. So so it just goes on. Yes, cut red tape. I hope all the money, like the federal money going to the provinces giving provincial money to the municipalities to speed up processes. Like Langford's already been really good at that.
Yeah.
Why don't we just copy what Langford does?
Sure.
Like, why can't we just look for an example that is successful instead of trying to reinvent the wheel this way? And I don't think like this is going to actually affect anything.
That's the track record.
Right. So cut red tape, let builders build. And of course, builders won't build unless they're going to make money.
Yep.
And then somehow the municipalities charge like 30% of the building cost are all in taxes. So the municipalities have to figure out their budgeting.
Yeah.
That they are not relying, seriously, they're addicted to like development cost charges and permit fees for new construction. Like, why can't they budget and not use that and lower the cost of these homes? You lower the cost to the developer and then get the developer or the builder somehow committed to having a lower price. Is it going to happen? I severely doubt it.
Yeah.
Right? But maybe let's look at it this way from like the root cause. If the individual can't afford to purchase or rent a property, we should start there. We need to start with financial education in our high school or elementary.
Sure.
This is what credit card is. This is how like you build up credit. How do you budget? Discipline. Like, do you really need to have something?
Yeah.
Or
here's the interesting
like I
thing.
could go on and on about this because it drives me up the wall.
Yeah, and I agree 100%. My daughter is in high school now, and we had this conversation where we talked about, okay, this is how you need to be thinking about managing money as you get, part-time job and then into career and wherever you decide to go and all these things. And she asked me, she said, why am I not being taught this stuff in school?
Because they don't know it.
Well,
or maybe it's not part of the curriculum. Whatever.
Yeah. I what I said was, the current school system and the model for the current school system is based on the Industrial Revolution when they were just trying to create good workers. Sit, do, listen, repeat.
Yes, fair enough. And maybe that's the rise in popularity of homeschooling over the
or
years
other
as well.
or other school methods and things like that. But the point is
Certainly.
not. The point is, financial education is vitally important.
I think we should start there.
Right.
I think, if you're not doing it personally with your children, well, people still have to do it themselves.
Yeah.
If they haven't had the opportunity or
Yeah.
didn't have that in school.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say like I'm perfect with that. Like, oh yeah, did I spend some money on impulse buying a couple things? Yeah, sure I did. And then it's like, oh, you're traveling. It's like, well, I'm never going to be back here again. And then like, put the credit card down. Like I can't believe how much I spent in England when we were there. But like, yeah, well, I have to live with that now, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I get. Yeah, but let's say we do those things not on a regular basis. How's that?
sure, you can treat yourself. You don't have to live in poverty just to be financially responsible. But
Yeah. So anyway, that's it for today. So I think we'll leave it at that, and I'm sure we'll see in the comments what you all think, because I'm expecting that not everybody's going to agree with me or you.
I'm over it.
And,
I mean that. I mean that in a loving father kind of way,
Okay.
right? Like sometimes you have to hear the harsh truth.